All right, I think we can go ahead and get started now. I want to thank everyone for taking the time today to join this webinar with Bravo Networks. I asked them to be here today to showcase their solution for diagnostic and factory reset of networking devices. It's a popular topic right now, as I feel currently within the industry. There is not a strong suited solution for most companies out there. And then when I took a look at the solution that Bravo Networks here has created, I was very impressed, and and pretty much said we have to get this out there to all of the users at IQ Reseller and try and promote this within the space, because it can provide an answer for a lot of the questions out there that networking companies have of, hey, how can I help to automate this process with it? And so for you, those of you who don't know, I'm John with IQ Reseller. IQ Reseller is a cloud-based ERP system that's designed for the secondhand used IT market with it. And this particular solution can integrate and then automate your diagnostic and factory reset process on your warehouse floor with it. So today we're going to showcase how this solution can help benefit and streamline processing networking devices, and how it can help to eliminate any of the human errors as well. So I'm going to turn it over now to go through. If you do have questions, just put it in either in the Q&A or the chat, and then we can get to them at the end of this presentation. This is going to be recorded, and it will be sent out at a later date as well too. Okay, floor is yours.
Thanks, John. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Doron. So I'll just jump right in. Here we see a picture of some routers and switches that we're going to test. We have some Juniper devices here, some Catalyst switches. These are some ASR 1001 routers. And here we have some Cisco Nexus switches. They're all connected to the power, and I have a power block down here that I can remotely turn things on and off. All the devices are connected via the console port to a Cisco terminal server. And then we have our software tech assistant, which looks like this, and it connects to the terminal server and reads output from the console port of the devices. What we see here now is the end result. The devices have booted up and powered on and gone through the testing. And I want to show you this first, because the whole process of turning on a device and having it and going through the test takes about 10 minutes, which is a bit long. So we'll start here with the end result first. And as you right, the status is done testing. We've identified the part number of the device, the serial number, and then we create a description for the device with things that are interesting about it, like the DRAM, the OS version, any licenses, various things that are interesting. Another thing that is cool that we can do after the devices have booted up is we have access to them via the console. So we can send commands to them, like from a terminal emulator, like a PuTTY or TerraTerm. And then we have access to each single cable individually. But we have this feature where we can send commands to all devices or a certain subset. We can select a group of devices like this with the cable selector, and then send one command to all devices, or all the check devices. This is useful, so you can do kind of global operations on many devices at once. We also have the ability to create scripts that, for example, here I've created a short script where I can set the IP address on an interface, and we click this, and because just the ASRs are selected, all this set of commands is being sent here to the routers, right? So we kind of work on a group of devices globally, doing many at once, which saves time. And so then, of course, the software also will save a log of the device, of the testing results, and will also update IQ Reseller. Here we see the inventory view from IQ, and we can see where the devices have been updated. Here, the OS version, the license, and the power supplies. Here, IQ Reseller has these user-defined fields that you can create, and then depending on what information you want, or what is interesting that you want updated to IQ, we do that via the user-defined fields. Then we can go into a device here, just double click on it, and here is where we upload the test results of the device. You can't see it all at once, but you can do things like this once. Yeah. And so this is what the log looks like. The log gives you the data was tested, the part number, the serial number, an asset tag if you have one, the description, and so on and so forth. Yeah, the whole idea is that the software just saves you a lot of time. So I will go ahead, I will pretend I'm starting a new test. Reset all the cables, and then I'm going to go here to our trusty APC remote power, and I'm going to power cycle all the devices. And so here, as the devices power on, we can see they send output via the console port. The software reads the output and starts processing the device. Here we've already identified these as Nexus and some Juniper devices. Here the ASRs are powering up. And so with all devices, you always start out, you want to start out with the password recovery procedure. You don't know where it's coming from. It's the first time you bring it up. So you always want to just do the password recovery procedure so that you can boot into the CLI and erase configs, erase passwords, and to reset the device to factory defaults. So these guys will now boot up. We can kind of click on all the cables to kind of see what's happening. Right, and this is all happening automatically, and it's very comfortable. I'm sitting here in the office, and the devices are next door. I don't have to be right next to them, kind of entering commands and sending control break and things like that. As the devices boot up, we are already starting to grab some information. Here we see how much DRAM the routers have. The software will save the logs by default. Here in this directory. Um, we have two types of logs. We have one log that's called the customer log, which is the abridged version with just the interesting information like show version and show inventory, show licenses, that stuff. And then we have just the full logs, which is beginning to end, which is more useful for troubleshooting. Um, when something goes wrong with the device, you can kind of see what state it was in when you had it, when you processed it. Um, this will kind of take a few more minutes. There's one more thing I wanted to show you here. This is again, this is not the setup now, but this is the kind of thing that you can do with this type of software. Is you have a palette like here of 20 ISRs. You come in with, they're on the palette. You don't have to remove them from the palette. Just come in, connect the console cables, connect the power cables, and just turn them all on. And it takes about 10 to 15 minutes to process these 20 routers. So after the devices boot up, like we see here, we run a set of commands. It varies per device, but it's the typical, show version, show inventory, show license, show environments, those types of things. And as you here, this is any potential error messages get highlighted in red. And these error messages will be presented at the end of the test commands. So yeah, so as the device is booting up, we are putting together our description. And then there's so all these devices will be reset to factory defaults. One of the things that you do that's part of that is, of course, the write erase command. But in addition to that, we have a certain file cleanup algorithm where we say we have a list of allowed files and directories in your flash and NVRAM. So, and anything that's not on that allowed list will be removed. And that is the way that we make sure that we remove any private information or any private data that's left that might have been there from the previous user. Here we see the ASRs. These guys are already done. They were done first. And again, you get the error log is printed with the potential error messages that were identified when the device booted up. Here on purpose, I did not plug in both power supplies, so we would see this. So that if you're testing this and you would see this message, you would go, oh, maybe there's an issue with the power supply. I need to go check the power supply on this device. And so the software is not meant to replace a technician. It's meant to kind of make a technician's job easier. So here the technician you still need to have a certain level of knowledge or expertise with networking devices just to look at this and say, oh, this is some iOS license thing. This is not really a failure or an error message. Something like this, the traceback is a little bit more concerning, and you maybe might have to do some troubleshooting to see why that happened. And then, of course, you have these types of error messages, which are obvious Like a failed hardware or failed power supply. It's just an obvious something that's not good, something that you need to look into to understand why that happened. Yes, one other thing I wanted to mention too is we're in the process of the certification process with ADISA. ADISA is a company that certified as ITAD companies in regards to data security. So they're now putting Tech Assistant through its paces in their lab, and hopefully they, in a week or two, they will give it their stamp of approval, and say that Tech Assistant is approved by them as a useful tool in ITAD type scenarios. The switches are done testing, the Nexus are done, and the logs are created, IQ is updated, but we just kind of we're still waiting on the Junipers, but I'll take a couple more minutes. But yeah, so we just went through about 10 devices in about 10 minutes or so. Yeah, John, do you see, are there any questions?
Yeah, we have several questions that have come in. What brands are supported?
So as far as supported brands, the Tech Assistant supports, as of now, about 95% of Cisco devices that we see. Also has good support for Juniper EX, SRX, and QFX switches. It supports a few HP part numbers, also Arista, a few Arista part numbers. It's hard to say specifically which part number because the different devices fall into certain into families or templates. We're constantly adding new models and new part numbers. And it's usually, since we've have quite a few templates, adding a device usually is a very quick process. Just let's say, a new model comes around and it won't be supported because for some reason we won't grab the serial number. But if we already have the template, it's just very easy to kind of add the line that where the serial number is, which is a bit different, and we add support for that. So in theory, we can add support for any device that has a serial port and also a password recovery procedure. The software does not support things like Meraki because Meraki is Ethernet-based, GUI-based. It does not have a serial port, so we can't connect it to our terminal server. Another device that is difficult to support is things like the Cisco NCS platform. They do have a serial port, but the password recovery procedure requires that you reinstall the operating system on the device. And so not everybody has access to that iOS. So it's difficult to do. But I think when we recently added support for an equal logic storage array. So we can, that's part of the supported devices. So yeah, we're constantly working and on adding devices, and we'll see if we can keep up with the rate of new devices coming out.
The good problem is that there's always new devices coming out, so it's always going to be an expanded list as time goes on with it.
Yes.
Another question that came in was, what Cisco terminal server are you using, and do you supply this terminal server pre-configured with your software package?
So we can use any Cisco terminal server. So you have basically two flavors of the terminal server, and it comes down to the whether you use the NM module, the old school NM32A, or even the the NM16A, or you use the HWIC 16A. With the NM32A, you can use something like a Cisco 2800 or a 3800 router. Those are the two good options. With the HWIC, you can use the 2900 series and the ISR 4000 series as routers. That's kind of, you can kind of get into a few other details about the terminal servers, but it's basically a 2800 or 3800 with an NM32A, or the 2900 or ISR 4000 with the HWIC 16A, or two of those because you want to get up to 16 cables. And those I do not provide those. Those you have to get yourself, and I mean they're pretty inexpensive and easy to get. You can probably pick them up for about $200. The router, the module, and the cables. What we do provide is this software. We install it on a PC, on your PC or laptop, and we enable it with a license. The license allows you to run the software on one PC, and you can even set it up on a laptop. And if you get a small terminal server, it's something that you can kind of make something that you can take with you and go on site if you are working at a customer's premises. If you want to reset the devices there on site before having them leave the site, it's pretty handy.
Okay. What about previously tested devices in test logs within your software? Could those then be pushed into IQ Reseller? So are you able to provide a batch report on legacy tests?
That's
We're gonna have to probably rerun those, but that might be something we'll take that question offline.
Yeah, I mean it's basically it's you have to parse the log, find the serial number and
Yeah.
and all that. Yeah, maybe
Typically, it's
best
difficult
off.
too, because if there's no inventory ID number or some type of unique identifier to push that back into it, it's just gonna continue to search and search and search and would not have nowhere to look for that data.
Yes.
We'll come back to you on that question with some answers with it. Another question that came in is, can you change out devices individually, or do you have to run all of them at the same time?
No. You can each cable is independent. So you can let's say I just want to work on this one here. So I reset this one here, and I can go here to the let's see. If I was next to the devices, I would just flip the switch on this one, and I can't remember. Let's take a gamble here. Can't remember which one. I think this was outlet number 1. Reboots next. Let's try. Let's see if it reboots. But so yeah, the answer is you can work on each cable individually one at a time. And basically when you're done testing a device, you reset the cable. You zeroing out all the logs, all the variables, and as soon as output comes out on this cable, the software will respond and will start a new test.
Okay. Is there any support for any Intel-based servers?
Not No, I've never really had a chance to play around with servers. I know some servers do have a serial port, but I don't know to what extent and what kind of information you can pull from there. But at the moment, no.
Let's see here. Can you program support for ASR 9000 series or the 7500?
Yes, the software does support the RSP 880 and RSP 440 on the ASR 9000 platform, also the 9900 platform. Also it supports, I can't remember, what is it, the RSP2, RSP4, the 7500, I have it. We could support the 70, but that one, if you're talking about the 7500 series is very old. I haven't seen one of those in a long time, if that's the one you're referring to. Um,
We will follow up with you on that question as well too. We'll take that question offline to get more detail with it. Let's see here. Can you configure the software to put all the test logs in individual folders? So could you put the Cisco ASR 1001 in the Cisco router ASR 1001 folder and then place the Jupiter equipment in the Jupiter switch EX 4200?
um, yeah, I think that would be doable. Each things like the log saving and updating the ERP system is kind of it's in a separate module where like each customer has their own module, and we can put those kinds of customizations there. Typically, we get asked to upload or save the files in a network attached storage or some other directory on a shared drive. I've never heard the request to save them based on part number or device family. But I think yes, it would be doable.
Okay. One last question, or two more. Is what would happen if you have a modular system in ASR 9000 that you do not wish to delete your test configuration so you can test the line cards? How would the software handle this?
Um, that's interesting. Um, so that at the moment there is no way to disable the test commands or the password recovery procedure. That is it's a feature that's been requested a few times before, and it's on the to-do list. We haven't quite gotten to it yet. Um, but um, but I guess at the moment, if you did have a chassis with a certain pre-config, what I would do is um, you could boot up the chassis, it would get reset, of course, and it would get wiped. Um, you could just kind of copy paste the config back on, or you could upload it from a TFTP server, or you could define, if the config is not many lines, you could define a script here in the script manager um, with that config. Um, but I think it should not be too difficult to add the config once the chassis boots, and then the chassis boots, and then you can go through and go test the line cards one by one. You do have an option here. The software will um, um, there's an option to send something like the show mod command or show module or show diag, which will list out the individual modules, and the software will recognize the part number of the module in the chassis and create a separate log file of the line card.
Okay. Save the best question for last here is if somebody would be interested in getting a demo of your software, and getting their hands on it, what's the best way to contact you?
The best way to contact me is via email. And it's Doron@bravonetworking.com. But if you send an email, I let anybody who's interested in the software, I let them try the software for a month for free. So it's just a question of a matter of sending an email.
Okay. I will also, will be sending out this recording as well too. In that recording, we will have, contact info in there to follow up, and ask questions as well. You'll likely get the recording of this sometime tomorrow with it, so you will have the ability to reach out and ask questions. So, I think that's it for now. I do appreciate everyone taking the time to attend. And thank you for putting on this demo as well too.
Thank you, John.
Yep. And hopefully everyone has a good day. Take care now.
Thanks, everyone.